All right, welcome to Motor Talk with Chris, man. And, you know, one thing I could say is that when you're a mechanic and you talk about cars, you really can talk about cars. So let me put the window up, turn the AC on, and let's talk about cars. I have been driving this electric car for 2 months. And I have heard various narratives as to why electric cars is not it. I've heard various narratives as to why electric cars, somebody need a little bit more show. I had one female tell me I need my 13 miles to the gallon 1998 Ford F-150. I have had individuals tell me they just don't believe in the concept. So in their mind, electric cars don't make it past the assembly line. All right, so let me throw some various at you. We're going to call this Car Talk Part 1. So I am in an electric car right now that, like I said, I've owned for 2 months. And the more I drive this car, and the more I meet the community of people that have these cars, the more I have people come to me while I'm at the charger, because I charge up at the Nissan dealer. I'll charge up at the dealer. I have people come to me. I am winning a lot of people over when it comes to electric cars. And I had an individual tell me something yesterday that was very interesting. He said, you know, if I want to know about cars, I'd rather come to you than the salesman. So allow me. People, think about this. You driving a car with an 8-cylinder engine. 8 cylinders. Think about that when you have to make 8 sandwiches. Think about, let's say you had to make 8 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Think about how much peanut butter and jelly you would need to make 8 sandwiches. Don't sound like a lot, but think about it. Now, think about how much peanut butter and jelly you would need to only make 1 sandwich. Well, this car has 1 engine, and it has 1 shaft that does the turning. That's equivalent to a one cylinder engine. So that 1-cylinder engine, let's just go back to gas terms. The 1-cylinder engine that's in this car don't need as amount of gas as a car with 8 cylinders. That 1-cylinder car, let's just go back to gas terms, would only need 1 spark plug. Your 8-cylinder needs 8 spark plugs. This 1-cylinder engine only needs 1 coil. Yours need 8. This 8-cylinder engine this 1-cylinder engine only needs 1 injector. Did I say injectors already? Yours need 8. Your car needs something, air. Because you got 8 cylinders that are doing the breathing. This 1-cylinder don't need as much air. So your air filter would probably be this big. For a 1-cylinder engine, my air filter would only be this big. Let's go to something else. I get home at night. I'm on an 83% charge. Now, I have a class 2 charger at home. No one has a class 3 charger at their house. Class 2 charger is on a 240 volts. All right. Now, when I'm charging on the 240, I get roughly between 8. It starts off slow and then it goes down. So let's just say for every hour, I get 8 miles of range. All right, let's just say that. It's really like 8 miles of range. I'm gonna stick with 8 miles of range. All right, so that means this. Let's just say I parked my car at my house on empty. I plug my car up. 4 hours later, I get back in my car. I now can travel 32 miles. With your gas engine, you get home, you run out of gas in your driveway, you will never leave. You're not going anywhere. You're driving your car. You have to slow down. This car, being that it's electric, they have regenerative braking. I'll get to the meaning on that on another video. But this car, the second I take my foot off the electric pedal, the engine itself does the braking. As a matter of fact, the only time I have to actually I actually force the brakes to use is when I jam on the brakes and stuff goes flying. Other than that, every time that this car starts to slow down, that's not the brakes doing it. That's the engine doing it. Your engine doesn't do that. I'm sorry, it does do that with the help of a transmission and downshifting. So this car, I can go the whole lifetime of this car and never need brakes. You take your 8-cylinder to get serviced. It's gonna cost you $700 to get your car serviced. You got 8 cylinders. They checking this, they checking that. Well, with this car, you know what? Let me be fair. I don't want to just say they're checking this and they're checking that. Let's be fair. When you get your car serviced, oil change, antifreeze, they're changing the fluids, wiper fluid, they're checking various systems that your car may have, rotate the tires, checking the brake pads, may have a couple of things that need to be calibrated. $700. This car, the servicing on this car, my electric car, includes changing the brake fluid, changing the cabin air filter, and rotating the tires. That's it. Car serviced. That's it. You're driving your car. You put your car in gear. Your transmission decided it wants to take the day off. Your engine is doing its job because your car is revving up. You look on your dash, there's a D on the dash, but the car is not moving. We call that an epic transmission problem. We also call that cha-ching. This electric car doesn't have one. We have gotten so accustomed to the variations of forward movement that we now say forward movement must only be done with an engine, a transmission, and gasoline. Forward moving can't be done with an electric vehicle. I have a door like you have. I have a horn like you have. I have navigation. I have a windscreen. I have wipers. I can get 155 miles on 100% range. But because the power source that's moving this thing forward is not gasoline, that just tilts that just doesn't tilt the scale for you. I'm not understanding that at all. I had an individual tell me, I probably mentioned this in my other video. I had an individual tell me that, oh, why would you get an electric vehicle? If it's a blackout, you won't get no electricity. Right. I am 54 years old. I've seen 3 blackouts in my lifetime. So I'm not going to buy a car based on something that only happened 3 times in my lifetime. But let's go with that theory. Let's go with that theory. So it's a blackout. You need fuel. I need fuel. I'm sorry, I need electricity. I'm sorry. You need fuel, I need electricity. There are many other ways of getting electricity. There's only one way to get gas. Okay. There's a blackout. You need fuel, I need electricity. So there's a blackout. There's a blackout. What do the pumps run on? Electricity? Yeah. So how are you going to get fuel if the pumps run on electricity? I could have a $4,000 solar generator that generates 240 volts. Hell, I can have a solar generator that's giving me 2 miles every hour. You're done. Yeah, they do got solar generators. They got windmills. They got 750 watt windmills. I can get 2 of them put on the top of my house. Had it before. There are various different ways of generating electricity. There's only one way to get fuel. People, I'll say this. As you get older in life, you want to start minimizing outgo. You want a lot of income, but you want to start minimizing your outgo. And the way you minimize your outgo is to put yourself in a position where you're not spending as much of your money. When you decide you're buying things based on a narrative that is outdated as an 8-track tape player, then you got a lot of prejudices involved, or simply you're just simply not educated on the various things you're trying to talk about. As a mechanic, I can talk about the various of the plus sides of an electric motor versus a gas engine. A gas engine needs air, fuel, spark, wires, a computer, fuses, a various inside the engine. You can't have a piston, a bad rod, a bad lifter, piston ring go bad. Got war on your camshaft. Your water pump got to be functioning. The belt that's spinning the water pump got to be functioning. The hoses got to be not have a leak in it. There's just so much involved. And that's just producing the power. Then you got to talk about transferring the power to the wheels. There's a transmission, and there's nothing on this planet that got more parts in it than a transmission. You got a torque converter that needs to convert the torque before it gets to the transmission. You have your reverse gear is a very complex, it's called a planetary pinion gear system. And it looks like a sun in the middle and 3 planets around it and a big gear around it, and it tricks the transmission into turning the shaft one way, reversing it. That's how you get reverse. I have seen many cars in my life that did not have reverse. The reverse gear was broke. Then there's the shaft itself. It's just a lot involved when you're talking about a transmission, an electric, a gas vehicle. And as I was stating, I'm older. I don't want none of that. I'm sitting in the car. I have the AC on. When I turn it, I got 119 miles of range. If I turn the AC off, it jumps up to 128. But guess what? I fill up for free. I don't have any fuel expenses. They're gone. Nissan allows you to come back to the dealership and fuel up. I know I'm saying fuel up. Charge up for free. They allow you to charge up completely free. So I go back to the Nissan dealer and I charge up. When I get home at night, I'll just plug the car in just so it can be topped off in the morning when I'm ready to go. Every morning I leave my house, I have 155 miles of range to spend. You cannot say that with a vehicle, with a gas engine. Leave your comments below. Hey, thanks for listening. Later, y'all.